Morning.
It's the way Singapore wakes up.
Wake up.
Glenn, Angel, and the Flying Dutchman.
Wake up in the morning feeling like
Kiss 92's Big Show.
Good morning. It is 8 o'clock, and that means we have a couple of very special guests in the studio with us today. It is Good Morning Doctor Day, and we'd like to welcome from Parkway Cancer Centre, we have Senior Staff Nurse Stella Teo. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. And we also have Senior Occupational Therapist from the Singapore Cancer Society, Shanice Yeow.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for coming in, ladies.
Okay, this is all because of something you're actually getting involved in this weekend.
That's right. It's the symposium that's happening next Saturday at the Conrad Centennial. We encourage you to get your tickets from Parkway Cancer Centre's website. It's only $5, and all proceeds will go to the Singapore Cancer Society. And we going to carry on, FD.
No, and I think this is important not only for people who have cancer, but for caregivers, for people in general. You know, I think a lot of people in Singapore don't really know what cancer is all about. I know that when my father-in-law got it, I was blinded. I had no idea what to do, how to help, what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing. I had no idea at all.
Yeah, so this is for everyone. Caregivers, those who have been diagnosed with cancer, those who are recovering, those who are going through treatment. So this is what we want to talk about today, ladies. Managing your fatigue during as well as post-treatment, as well as returning to work. So what can you tell us from your own experience? Maybe Shanice?
So in terms of trying to manage your fatigue and going back to work, there's a lot of stress involved and a lot of courage involved. So it really is. A lot of cancer survivors actually share regarding like their difficulties, both physically and mentally, in terms of the tolerance at work, and also in terms of like difficulty concentrating and challenges multitasking at their workplace compared to the pre-cancer diagnosis abilities. So this actually lead them to make unintentional mistakes at work or difficulty sustaining prolonged conversations during these meetings. Some of them, they also experience some numbness in their fingers and toes, and also overall body weakness, which actually can impact on their job performance. So we're talking like tasks like dishwashing may become challenging because they tendency to drop balls, or also like in terms of pushing delivery carts, they may result in self-injury because of weakened muscles. And also for handling delicate artifacts by one of my patients who is a curator, they actually worried that they might have some accidental breakage. And so all these cancer-related side effects can undermine their kind of confidence to return to work. And because they worry about the meeting of the expectations of their bosses and colleagues, so they may not fully grasp their condition,
the difficulties.
At this point in time.
So it's not just the person who has just recovered from cancer going back to work that it's difficult for. It could also be difficult for their future employers to understand. So this symposium would also be for people from the workplace. Could be colleagues, could be big MNCs. They may have a colleague that's coming back to work who's just finished treatment. So this would be a good time for them to also send their employees and employers off.
Those side effects you just spoke of, those are side effects of cancer treatment, are they?
Yes, they are side effects of cancer treatment, which one of the common one is neuropathy, which is like the numbness in the hands and feet, and also in terms of fatigue, severe fatigue, that's the most common one.
How long do these side effects last?
They can actually last for quite some time. So
you're talking years, weeks, days?
Actually, we're talking years.
Wow. Okay.
So especially in terms of like numbness and fatigue, it can take quite some time to actually recover from them. Numbness may stay with them, but in terms of fatigue, it can generally slowly improve. But like, they will always say that, maybe they don't feel exactly the same as what they used to before.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting. Stella, what sort of self-care practices would you recommend to cancer survivors?
Self-care practices.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Stella, why don't you hold that thought? We'll go to the Big Show TV and then we'll continue that conversation, okay? Right now is The Weekend with Sacrifice on Kiss 92. Okay.
Okay, so the
didn't
quest-
mean to interrupt you.
No,
Okay, so
no. The
FD.
question was, what sort of self-care practices would you recommend for cancer survivors? Why is that important?
Okay, so when we're talking about self-care practices, there are actually two sides. So one is the physical and one is the emotional. So we deal with the physical first. We actually encourage exercises. This will help to promote the blood circulation, improve neuropathy as well, and then maintain your physical stamina.
But not all kinds of exercises, right? I mean, you can't just go run a marathon as soon as you
Yes.
recover, right?
So like Dr. Richard quite mentioned last week, we actually will advise proper exercises. So some patients are okay with, going to the gym and some are not. So we
Okay.
actually do like exercises first, and we actually encourage patients to go back to normalcy as soon as possible.
Okay.
Normalcy as in what are the activities they do.
They used to do
They
before?
used to do
Okay.
before. But so that's the physical part. And then comes the emotional part where they need to know where to set the boundaries. Like probably you do marketing for a whole morning previously, but now maybe you can only do like half an hour, and that is good enough.
Okay.
As long as you're improving every day, like maybe another 5 more minutes of the walk or another 10 more minutes of the walk, that's good enough.
Manage your
Manage
expectations.
your
Yes.
expectations. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I can see
What
that.
about, so you talk about physical, then you talk about the emotional side of it. What about the nutritional side of it? How important is diet in managing that fatigue?
So, as always, we always advocate a very well-balanced diet, including your macronutrients and your micro, your fats, your vitamins, your protein, carbs. We have to have a well-balanced diet, and food actually plays a very big importance because your complex carbs will slowly release energy for you during the day to maintain your activity, and that will help to actually manage fatigue.
Okay. Shanice, why don't we throw it back to you? We're talking about, you're specifically talking about your work-life integration. How can, or how is the Singapore Cancer Society helping cancer survivors reintegrate back into the workplace?
So the Singapore Cancer Society, we actually offer a comprehensive range of cancer rehabilitation services. So with the aim of helping cancer patients regain their personal identity and roles, and eventually leading to gainful employment. So our multidisciplinary team actually consists of professionals like your rehab physician, physiotherapist, occupational therapist like myself, dietitian, speech therapist, cancer exercise trainers, social worker, art therapist, and sexologist. So together, we actually provide an individualized rehab program tailored to the unique needs of each cancer survivor. So for survivors that are actually not yet prepared to return to the workforce, we actually initially enroll them under the Return to Role program. And the focus is to gain independence in daily activities or resuming like their familiar roles, which are often the essential prerequisites before they can tackle the more complex challenges of re-entering the workforce. So when cancer survivors feel ready, we actually collaborate closely with the survivor and the social worker to develop strategies for a smooth transition back to work under the Return to Work program. So this may involve like modifying their work methods to enhance their efficiency, or also boosting the confidence to communicate with the employers for better support and flexibility in the workplace.
Okay.
So that's what the society does. How does the family, the loved ones, how do they get involved? How do they help?
So a lot of times, cancer survivors, they actually experience a sense of being misunderstood, but because of their symptoms and also the impact on their daily life and work. So they actually experience a lot of loss of identity and also decrease in confidence. So for loved ones, it would be great if they can offer more support and patience when survivors express their frustrations and also their struggles. And it's also important to acknowledge these challenges that they have, but at the same time also celebrate any forms of improvements that they observe, whether it's a small or significant improvement that they make, so that survivors can actually achieve more confidence at home and also in the workplace after they overcome cancer.
Okay. How long have you ladies been doing what you're doing with the Singapore Cancer Society? for you, Shanice?
So as a occupational therapist managing cancer patients, so I have been working for around 10 plus years. But in terms of in Cancer Society, I'm 1.5 years.
You must have some pretty special stories, that like success stories. Anything that you can share with us, if anything can come to top of mind, like any stories that stick with you.
So I think one of my cancer patients, she started off having a lot of memory difficulties. So she was really worried on going back to work because she's just worried whether she will make mistakes and all. But I think she was very anxious at start. So as we discussed all the strategies that she can actually do to help to be able to manage her meetings better, she actually, by the time she she actually, when she first entered the workforce, she actually felt that like, oh, my work ability maybe it's only like 5 upon 10.
Okay.
Yeah? But after she really entered, she realized, oh, actually the strategies was really helpful to preempt me in terms of managing my work. And she actually felt a lot more confident.
Okay.
And within 2 or 3 months, she was saying that, oh, I think I'm back 100%.
To normal? Oh,
Yes.
wow. Okay, okay.
So that is, of course, through a lot of hard work on her own in terms of modifying her work, and also a lot of rehabilitation, like exercise programs and being committed to them.
But like you all said as well, it's about managing your expectations, right? Whether it's physical or emotional, even mental, you got to realize that you're on the road to recovery and not everything is going to be back to normal right away.
Yeah, I'm sure people picked up on this because I picked up on it. I think a lot of us see cancer as a very physical thing.
Okay, hold that thought. Why don't we do this on air?
Okay, we will.
Okay. Just coming back for traffic.
Forget about the price tag.
Kiss 92 traffic.
If you're out there on the roads on the PIE heading towards Tuas just before Jalan Bahar, please avoid lane 3. An accident has been spotted. Also on the KJE towards the BKE after the Chua Chu Kang Way exit, a vehicle has broken down. And finally on the PIE heading west towards Tuas before Clementi Avenue 6's exit, a vehicle has stalled there as well. If you see anything else that we need updating on, it's 88550920. Welcome to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. We are with two very special individuals. They are Stella and Shanice, and they're here because we are talking about managing fatigue and returning to work for those that have been diagnosed with cancer, for those that are post-treatment, as well as caregivers and employers. This is all because the Parkway Cancer Society is having an Adjusting to Changes Symposium next Saturday. It's from 1:30 p.m. after lunch, very convenient timing, up until 4:30 p.m. at Conrad Centennial. Tickets are only $5 and all proceeds will go to the Singapore Cancer Society. You can get your tickets at parkwaycancercentre.com/SG.
Now, I don't know how many of you picked up on this, but my father-in-law went through cancer, and we understand all the physical things that happen with cancer. I think a lot of people do. Even treatment, we understand the side effects of the physical side effects of cancer treatment. But you mentioned memory. Treatment affects your memory. And that just blew me away. What other side effects do you have that you think people don't know?
Yeah, maybe the not so common ones.
The not so common side effects? Because I don't think anyone listening to us who has never had any dealings with cancer would think treatment would affect your memory. That was the last thing on my list. And this is why symposiums like this are so important. So people can learn this stuff. Are there any other sort of side effects that you can think of?
Actually, usually numbness and tingling of the sensation of the fingers.
So it's
and
mainly
toes.
the fingers and toes, right?
Yeah,
Okay, the
and
extremities.
Some have really, really dry hands and the skin starts to peel off. So they get very tender and painful when they
Ooh.
hold things.
So the skin is a little bit more sensitive, but only on the hands
Yeah, and the feet.
and the feet. Wow. So
Wow.
I did not know
No.
as well. And
Yeah.
that is a side effect of the treatment.
Yes.
Right,
It's
okay.
treatment related.
Okay. So just speaking a little bit more to, say, Stella, who talks about managing fatigue. We spoke about self-care practices. We just spoke about the common side effects and about diet as well. Who do you think this symposium is for next week, and who would you recommend to go to the symposium and to sign up for it?
Okay. I think patients that are definite, the caregivers especially, because we are actually looking at self-care for caregivers as well. So to say, some of them actually blame themselves that whether is it the food that I prepared is not nice, that's why they are not eating it, and stuff like that. And then people around you at your workplace, it's also nice to understand what they are going through. Actually, it's for everyone. Like you mentioned just now, like Shanice, also to say that the community needs to be more bearing. And there are actually some limitations. They are not 100% at the first minute when they get back to work.
Yeah, and when you say caregivers, I know you're also referring to domestic helpers that have been hired to look after cancer patients or people recovering, as well as family members, right?
Yes.
Anyone who has anything to do with looking after someone who has cancer should be there as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Some of them may be parents
As well, or even children. I'm sure some teenage children have to handle their parents as well. Okay, let's go back on the Big Show TV to find out a little bit more about this symposium, and we're also going to be speaking to Shanice a little bit more about what employers and colleagues can do to help people return to work. The time right now is 8:16.
Kiss 92 Time Check brought to you by...
So not everyone's, Shanice, not everyone is going to understand when someone comes back to work after treatment. How can we make it easier
So
as an employer or a colleague?
So for colleagues, actually it will be very helpful to help them to boost their confidence again, and also help cancer survivors to regain their sense of self-identity by being more welcoming and also more understanding and readily available to assist whenever the cancer survivors need it. So as for employers, actually it will be good if they can support cancer survivors by providing more flexibility in their working hours, and also gradually adjusting the workload so that they can actually slowly adapt and build up their capacity over time. So some practical strategies that employers can adopt may include like flexible working hours, or maybe implementing work from home so that it's easier for them to manage their time, if they need to take naps or, just to take rest breaks in between. And also to modify their job roles or tasks based on the needs of the survivor.
Okay.
When cancer patients go in for treatment, and I saw this, I keep relating it back to my father-in-law. You always see a person go into treatment and that person is with family. And the caregiver ends up staying outside. You know what I mean?
When you say caregiver, you mean?
The people that are hired to actually look after.
Oh, the hired care. Right, okay.
Yeah. They're always outside. Do you agree that these caregivers should be in and involved with every consultation?
Actually, we do collaborate with them. So sometimes the caregivers may actually know the patient better compared to the family members in terms of certain areas. So of course, the family members, they will know their personality better, but in terms of what kind of care they have been receiving, the caregiver might know better. So we actually do speak to both of them when needed, and sometimes we do arrange for the caregivers to come down to actually do some caregiver training with them.
So you have training for the caregivers?
Yes, we do.
Is there any conflict that ever comes up between the family members and the caregivers? I mean, I'm sure there is.
There must be, right?
Like you just said, the family members will know the character, personality of the patient. The caregivers are there just to do what they're told in that aspect. So do you ever find any conflict between family and hired care?
Definitely. So there are dynamics that are involved. So sometimes the patient may be saying, "Oh, I don't think the caregiver is, helping me in a certain way," and they might complain to their family members, and sometimes they may have different goals between the family and also the caregiver. But I think sometimes it's a lot about mediating and letting them understand what the patient actually needs and whether the caregiver is actually doing the right thing, and whether and try to meet all their goals together and manage their expectations of each other.
And what should the goals be?
Oh,
You know, like what is the family aiming for? Like sometimes I haven't had anyone with cancer in my family, knock on wood, but obviously there are some that are very serious, and obviously some that are not so serious. So what should the ultimate goal be?
I think it really varies from person to person. Sometimes family members would say, I think they're still very weak. Maybe you shouldn't go back to work. But actually,
They're okay.
they're okay. Yeah. So sometimes the goal really vary from person to person, and actually they do need the family members' support rather, to say, you can try, and if you fail, we are always there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of like caring for them and for the caregivers, I think it really varies. So as long as the patient, the cancer survivor, actually feel like, I'm being well cared for and I feel confident in myself, I think that's the most important thing. So they are still able to do things that they really want to do. Yeah. But at the same time, things that, they find that I don't mind getting help. You can let the caregivers actually do that for them.
Okay. Okay.
We got a question on our Facebook page. And it's a two-pronged question. With cancer treatment, is there pain associated to cancer treatment? There is, right? What are the ways that one can manage that pain? How do we help manage that pain for the cancer sufferer?
Okay.
Stella?
So usually pain doesn't happen with the cancer treatment. Pain is caused by the diagnosis.
Okay.
Because the tumor or something else is pressing onto one of the body systems.
So it's not the treatment
So
itself.
it's not the treatment
Usually
that's
it's
causing.
not the treatment.
Right.
Okay.
Usually the treatment actually helps to relieve the pain
Right.
as it shrinks,
Right.
or as we remove it surgically.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so again, we're talking about next week's Parkway Cancer Centre's Adjusting to Changes Symposium. It is happening on the 23rd of March, which is a Saturday, right after lunch, starting at 1:30, happening at the Conrad Centennial. Now, registration starts at 1, and the opening address will be at 1:30 by Dr. Richard Kwek, who was on the show last week. So if you missed that, you can always head to our Facebook page and sort of scroll back to next Wednesday, and you'll see what he spoke about. And there'll be lots of topics like preparing and starting cancer treatment, managing fatigue. Stella, you're going to be speaking as well. And then there'll be a panel discussion plus question and answer session, so you can ask any questions that you may have. Then we go for a tea break, and then we have exercise for cancer warriors, so empowering physical and mental resilience. And then there'll be adjusting to life after cancer. And then Shanice, you come on for the last bit, which is work-life integration, and we're talking about return to work program. So today really is like a sneak peek into what you can expect next Saturday. There'll be a panel discussion after that as well, with question and answer moment where you can ask any questions that you may have in relation to all that.
I would suggest you come up with those questions prior
Now.
to going. Come up with the questions now.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure more questions will come up on the day of the event. So once again, if you want to book your tickets, you can go to parkwaycancer. Wait, let me get the website again. parkwaycancercentre.com/sg.
Aloysius has come on our Facebook page to thank both Shanice and Stella. He says he's just registered for the symposium.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Well done, well done.
Once again, tickets are at $5. We don't recommend buying tickets on the spot because tickets will only be sold online. $5, and you get refreshments, the tea break, and a lot of information on handling cancer.
Question also on our Facebook page, because it usually happens after we've done a few minutes of the talk. Where do you guys stand on multiple treatments for the one cancer? You may go through
Chemo,
Western treatment.
radio.
You may have traditional Chinese
Right,
treatment.
okay.
do
The
those
combination
the
of the two?
combination? Where do you guys stand on something like
We know
that?
you're not doctors, so just
Yeah,
your thoughts.
Just thoughts.
your thoughts.
Just thoughts.
Maybe you can ask that again, but let's go to traffic and then you can ask that on air.
I'll
yeah?
ask that on air.
Oh, baby, I need you
Kiss 92 traffic.
On the PIE towards Tuas before Jalan Bahar, causing quite a bit of backup, is an accident. Also on the other side of the island on Simei Avenue towards Simei Street 3 after the PIE. Avoid the left lane, yet another accident has been spotted. And finally on the KJE towards the BKE after the Chua Chu Kang Way exit, a vehicle's broken down. Our number is 88550920 should you need to update us. We are with two ladies here speaking about next week's symposium by Parkway Cancer Centre, and we're talking about managing fatigue as well as work-life integration with Stella and Shanice.
Lots of questions coming through on our Facebook comment section. So, multiple treatments for cancer. So we have the Western treatment, we have your chemotherapy, you have whatever, and you have TCM. What are your thoughts on combining the two?
Okay, it's a very difficult question.
Yeah.
Nice one. Honestly, I will think that probably you should complete one, then do the other.
Right.
And only if your doctor agrees, then can you combine them together. There are a couple of reasons for why. Because some of the medications are actually more hurtful for the liver that metabolizes the medications. So if you add on of herbal medications, then it might overload your liver.
They might conflict, right?
Yeah, either your liver or your kidney might go.
Okay.
And then the enzymes will go very high and it will affect the treatment plan and outcome eventually.
Okay. And so that was a senior staff nurse from Parkway Cancer Centre, Stella Teo.
Okay, Moll has come on and she's got another question for you guys. Does the term cancer survivor only apply to someone in full remission, or does it include someone who is not in remission but managing the condition for some time?
Well,
Shanice,
I would imagine someone who's in full remission, right?
who has completely gotten rid
Yeah.
of it. Yeah.
Well, I would say there is no specific limitations to how it's used, but usually, yes, we do mention in terms of cancer survivors who are already in remission. But even for people who are undergoing cancer, they are also cancer warriors.
Yeah.
Who actually are, they actually take a lot of effort and courage to actually, manage their current condition and slowly manage their treatment.
Yeah. I love the term cancer warrior. I think that's awesome.
I think it's a great term. And that was
great term.
Shanice Yeow, Senior Occupational Therapist, Singapore Cancer Society. Ladies, any one of you have any final sort of comments on anyone who's listening in? If there's one thing for them to take away from today's interview, what would it be? Maybe we hear from you first, Stella.
Okay, I would like everyone to know that cancer is not a death sentence anymore, and we are here to actually increase awareness and therefore increasing the quality of life for each and every one of you and the people around you.
Okay,
Nice.
thanks. And Shanice?
So maybe to direct it to our cancer warriors. So actually, you are stronger than you think, and returning to work after cancer treatment, it demands a lot of courage and also resilience. So it will be great if everyone can come together as a united village to spread love and encouragement and understand our cancer warriors better in rediscovering their path back to their daily lives and also their workforce.
Oh, lovely. I love that.
Good
Okay.
stuff.
Once again, this is happening next Saturday from 1:30 to 4:30 at Conrad Centennial. It is Parkway Cancer Centre's Adjusting to Changes Symposium. Head head to parkwaycancercentre.com/SG to get your tickets, which are just $5, and all proceeds go to the Singapore Cancer Society. Thank you so much, ladies, for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.